One time for work, what was I doing down there? I had to pick up some documents from a courthouse. It was downtown Detroit on Bobian Street, the courthouse, the prison or whatever, the jail. It was the courthouse / jail, whatever. I had to go upstairs and I had to sit in this hearing where I watched a judge sentence a guy to life in prison. That's right. Life in prison. It was the coldest thing I ever seen. I felt terrible because the dude didn't see it coming. Okay? Let me tell you the story. So you had this knucklehead. He was a terror to the community. Let's keep it a buck. He was a violent criminal. He had multiple offenses. He was absolutely a felon, right? He had issues with his mom and his sisters. And what's crazy is it was his mother and his sisters that testified against him in the court. And they literally asked the judge, please send him back to jail so that we can have peace, right? And the dude knew he was going to jail. He knew he was going to jail and he was cool with it. Like, yo, I'm going to do my time and it's cool. I'm going to get out. I'm going to try to get my life together. It was also apparent that the dude probably maybe had a drinking problem and or a drug problem. Because some of the stuff that he was doing is clear from the stories that I was hearing that he was not in his right mind, right? He was not in his right mind. That's why I don't do drugs. And if I drink, it's really like a glass of wine a week. But we about to cut that out too. You feel me? But this guy was terrorizing his mom and the sister. They said that in some instances he would beat on them to a degree. Most of it was intimidation. They said he would intimidate them and threaten them that he was going to beat on them or hurt them if they did not give him money, right? If they didn't let him do what he was doing. He would come in and out of the house. Yeah, he was just wreaking havoc. And who knows? God knows what he was doing in the streets to other people, right? He was doing this to his own mother and his own sisters. Who knows what he was doing to regular people in the street? He might have been going upside people's heads, right? And so this guy, he stands before the judge and the prosecutor is like, life. I was like, ooh, that's scary. But I was like, nah, they not about to get this guy life. What'd he do? So ultimately what he got arrested for, what they were saying that he did, is he comes up in the house. He's bullying his sister. He bullying his mom. And he pulls out a knife. And he threatens them. And he intimidates them like, hey, give me the such. I'm acting up in here. Clearly, this dude was raised without his father. And they didn't whip his ass enough. That's what I think. I think he didn't get enough ass whoopings. But anyway, so he's crashing out on his mom and them. They call the police. He gets arrested eventually. And so they bring him to the court. Like I said, he's committed multiple felonies beforehand. So the prosecutor goes, the people are asking for life. I go, ooh wee. I'm like, nah. I'm like, that's crazy. My man didn't. And here's the thing: he did not actually attack his sisters or his mother. He did not hit them. He did not actually do violence to them, any physical violence whatsoever. He just kind of acted a fool. He intimidated them, and they made claims that he grabbed a knife. Now, he didn't cut nobody. He didn't thrust it at anybody. He just wanted them to know that he was serious. And I forget what I think it was money. I don't think it was money. I think he was just like, I want to stay here, or he was just kind of bullying them and in their own words, terrorizing them, right? For whatever. And prosecution, like I said, they asked for life. When I heard that, I was like, nah, they crazy. They tripping. The defense is like, yo, he doing community service. He in therapy. He getting, he off. His mind is off, and he trying to get his life together. And then he himself speaks, right? I look at him. I see like there's some remorse in his eyes, right? I can see it. And he like, yo, I know I'm going to jail. He was like, I just want to apologize to you, Judge, for this whole situation. I want to apologize to my mom and my sisters, and I'm sorry. Y'all know I've been through a lot, and I'm sorry, and I would never hurt y'all. And he do this little speech or whatever. He's like, but I know I'm going to jail. I'm going to do my time. I just want y'all to know that I'm sorry. And so, Judge, give it to me. The judge was like, she had a little paper. She was like, let me get some papers real quick. What we got? She was like, anyway, no emotion whatsoever. She like, anyway, given the multiple offenses and the fact that your mama and them is begging me to lock you up, because you terrorized them and we tired of you being in the streets, acting a fool. Life. I was like, oh, like literally. I jumped. I said, oh my God. I said, what? I couldn't believe it. She threw a life sentence at this guy like it was nothing. It was no big deal. Life in prison for not hurting anybody physically, but intimidating, bullying. He got life in prison for bullying. And man, when I tell you this man died, his spirit died. His heart broke because he knew he was going to jail because he knew he had done wrong. But the life sentence was as if they threw him away. He was in that moment, he was like, it was like hopelessness in his eyes. I watched that man's spirit sink in the back of his head and his heart break. And he looked at his mother and he looked at his sisters and he just mouthed the words, life. Like, he was like, what? He was like, what? And then like immediately, it wasn't a delay. Immediately, he's like, they grab him and they walk him out. Instantly. They move, they like, move along. Next K, move along. Life. So immediately he looking at them like, I'm never getting out. I'm never coming back. Life. He hadn't killed anybody. He hadn't beaten nobody severe injuries. He was bullying them. And I kind of felt like, I was like, yo, I thought that sentence was a little heavy handed. I thought that was a bit much. I thought it was too much. Honestly, I'm like, how many men, and yes, you guessed it, he was black. How many men are in prison for serving life sentences for bullshit? I'm just saying. Not to say that this man was not a terror. Not to say that he was definitely on some BS and he should have, even he knew he was going to jail. But life is like never. You are forever. Here's my thing. My tax dollars have to feed and clothe and house this nigga for the rest of his life. I just don't feel like our prison system has no aspect of rehabilitation whatsoever. It makes no sense. It's expensive. I don't like the idea of housing a bunch of people only to release them back into society and they're going to be worse. And then they're going to go back into the system. I also don't like the idea of putting people into the system and never, ever letting them out. I do think there are some things that are committed by some monsters that are deserving of death. Sorry, that sounds terrible. But some people, we should just put a bullet in their head and it's over with. A bullet is a lot cheaper than housing and feeding a monster. Like, you ever seen those movies where like the evil king or emperor, they got like this pit and it's like this monster they keep in the pit and they throw people in there that they want the monster to devour. That's what it's like when we imprison certain people. These are monsters. It seems like we give them life sentences so that we can punish other people and put them in prison with the monsters so that those monsters can then devour people. Is that what we do with our prisons? Are like the true killers our pets? Do we keep them?